mic check real quick. Make sure you guys can hear me. All right, can you guys hear me now, or is it just continuously buffering? My main internet connection is out. So if you guys can hear this now without it buffering, I will continue. If you cannot hear me, then I will just upload a video. Okay, so just type in the chat. Seems okay? I can tell it's a little pixelated. All right, cool. Well, then I'll just go ahead and begin. All right, yeah, it might go in and out. Because my main internet is down. Darn. All right. Well, I will start with the S&P 500. And on the hourly chart, we'll start off actually on the daily here. We'll start off on the daily here. I'm happy to see so many people in here on a Sunday night. So far, so good. Sorry, I know I'm cutting in and out here. Like I said, my main internet is down, which is a problem. I want to go to a weekly chart here, guys, and we're gonna just review some higher time frames. There is an extension from the high of 2016 before a breakout. And this is held multiple times. So this is really the big level we want to pay attention below. So if we take the high of 2016, it's like, I think it's 2191 half. This high to high is held, and this is what held at the beginning of the year. Now, the second test of the 38% retracement is 2616. It's a major level below, 2616. The same anchor to the new high, 50% retracement is 2561. 2569. Now both of those levels are levels I've marked up here below. Marked up both of those levels below. Those are going to be coming into play this week. And I will share my grid at the end of this video, but I want you guys to follow along. We will be able to look at these as potential supports. Now, the 2617 zone here that I have at this green line, it is going to be basically a second test. You can see the first test we were bid off that goes back to October 29th. Okay, it goes back to October 29th. We had a really aggressive bid off of that level. And we have run into that 50% retracement short. Now, the 50% retracement short, to play devil's advocate and the other side of the market, the halfway back from highs on September 21st to the low of the 29th of October, that is technically that is the downside rejection area we've seen, and we've seen some pretty heavy rejection off of it. The full 50% retracement is 2774 half. Now I've marked that up before, but it doesn't stretch out far enough. We're gonna be watching this basically into the end of the year. So I'm gonna bring that resistance level across my screen into the end. Now, when we have these major breakdowns, we always want to be aware of the full 50% retracement short from the high, which is November 8th, drawn to the low. So I'm actually going to activate this drawing here. Actually want to duplicate it just to, bring it down. That is going to be a major resistance level. Might trade this week 27.22. It's like 85 points above us. So that's a possibility for resistance this week. So that's what we want to look at on that time frame. So those are the bigger daily levels here in the 500. And Thinkorswim is being a little slow for me. And I know you guys are experiencing buffering, but hold on. I'll go to a 15-minute chart. I cannot go to an hourly for whatever reason. Let me try that again. 30 minutes. There we are. Right, here's a chart. Now, the S&P, right now, our current extension, and there's a low to low sequence. This is the current sequence we are in. The low from 26.62 to low is what is holding for shorts. So that gives us resistance basically at the high here near 26.44. That's our current resistance level. Now, if we get bid above that tomorrow, that's when you have the possibility of some larger short covering, maybe back to the top of the range here. Okay, so if we get above 26.44, there's a possible aggressive move to 26.70 area. Does everybody understand that? Testing. I think I'm losing it here. I'm gonna have to end this stream. It is, let me see, I don't know. Actually, no, it looks pretty active. Oh, I'm good, okay. All right. Look, for whatever reason, I was not good. So that's what we have here for the S&P 500, guys. We have multiple downside targets and no support until 26.16 this week. So you have no support till 26.16. Thursday, Friday were low volume days. Thursday, Friday were low volume days. And I would have no support. We have downside targets at those levels. For gold, I want to point out that there is, and this is quite strange. So on the way up, gold started getting bid on Wednesday. So we had this low of Wednesday to high, right? And then we started once again trading higher on Thursday and Friday. And this was the last move to hold Thursday, right here. And then that low, this swing low at 11.6 to high has held every time we've pulled into our 50% retracement. So right now, that is the sequence I'm watching here in gold, and its upside target is 1223. If gold breaks down, there's still a lot of resistance at this 1229 level. If gold breaks down, there would be a shorting opportunity in play, I would believe, until we get to like 1213. Okay, so if gold breaks down, I would look for potential short opportunities till we get down to like 1213. So that's like a solid 7-point move of where I don't see much support if we start breaking below the 1220. So I want to mark up the 1220 level in case we get below that, because then I'll be looking for short setups in gold. For the Dow, the current sequence I'm watching is the low of the 15th of October to low. And that is something I would like to look for a potential shorting opportunity. Okay, and that right now gives me a resistance level at 24,451. 24,451. We're just continuing down, guys, in these short sequences. We cannot look for bullish sequences on the hourly time frame. Of course, every market has two sides, but the thing is, you want to be waiting for these bigger levels, and then if they break, taking longs. There is going to be, if you're trading futures, there's always going to be two sides of every market. The market that really finished the best last week, I believe, was the Russell. So I do want to go to the Russell. The Russell here, actually the Russell and Nasdaq look a little similar. Where if you look at the S&P and the Dow, the S&P and the Dow were getting new lows into Friday. The Russell, go to a 30-minute chart here. The Russell held its breakout point going back to Wednesday, and the Nasdaq dipped a little better. So the Russell's acting the best for longs right now. If we can get above the resistance of last week in the Russell, I believe the Russell will short squeeze to a negative 23% profit target. So if we can get above 1498 here, so if we can get above this zone, I believe we're going to squeeze into 1510. So that's a solid like 10, 12-point move above that could happen on a squeeze. So that is a trade I would look for in the Russell, for a squeeze above 1498 and a move into 1510, because that's like a 10-point move. That's big enough for me to want to trade. So mark up that 1498 level here, guys. You see that was the high here on Wednesday, and then that was the high here on Friday. So it's kind of an if-then statement for me. If we get above 1498, then I'm going to be looking for whatever the pullback is, some kind of sequence, some kind of entry. It's always going to depend what the market looks like for the actual entry on that level. But I would begin to look for participation to the long side. John, that's awesome. You made 500 bucks. Take it slow, man. The name of the game is staying in the game. But that's super awesome that you had a great week last week. So that's what I'm looking for in the Russell, guys. The Russell would, like I said, it was the strongest market last week. And let's go to the daily. I always like to pay attention to when we make these reversals. If you guys look back, we kind of have a little bit of a double bottom pattern here on the Russell, right? So we had the lows, on the 24th, 25th, 26th, and then the 29th. That's where this Russell got a bid on the higher time frame. If the Russell does short squeeze, we want to pay attention to really the higher time frame, halfway back. So this is a level you guys are going to want to be aware of this week. The full 50% retracement in the Russell, drawn from the high of the 8th of November to that low. That is going to be a 1526. Okay, and on a short squeeze, if we have shorts under pressure today, or I should say this week, the possibility that we get up there is totally in the cards. Totally in the cards. Let's go to oil, guys. Oil's been super weak, and interesting enough, the oil market, and this is going to be one of those things that I'm going to pay attention to see how we close on this week, not necessarily from a day-to-day basis, but this halfway back long from the low of, what's that, like on February 2016 too high, which is basically the lows we made in oil, that has traded. Now, I'm not going to step in and buy this. This downtrend has been absolutely insane. Last week, we had a 7.5 point range, which I believe has been this was the largest percentage drop on a week. So it definitely could be a capitulation during Thanksgiving. I would want to watch the beginning of this rally here, this 49.25 zone. That goes back to the 9th of October 2017. This 49.25 zone is just the beginning of that multi-week rally. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of positive movement in oil off of that 49.25. So that would be the only support level I would consider below. Right now, I think there is an extension here to go to the hourly time frame and take a look at this. Hourly chart's having a hard problem loading for Thinkorswim. Come on. All right, here we are. So that what we had actually was the high of Friday, the 16th of October to low, completed profit targets. I'm going to take that high of Wednesday to low. That would be my next major resistance level. And that would be in trend to the downside. I'm going to mark that up. That is 53.01. And then I'm going to move this down to the 49.25. Okay. So that 49.25 would be my downside support. My upside resistance level is 52.98, and the trend in oil is down. Trend in oil is down. For the NASDAQ, our downside target for me, I have two. One is at, actually it's 63.63.75. 63.63.75. And upside resistance is just these highs of last week. Okay. So, everybody understand that? What are my thoughts on the euro this week? Let me take a look at it. I have not been following Forex that closely, but I'll tell you what, it looks pretty weak. I have one setup I'm looking for in the euro, and that would be a retest of 113.14 right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them while I'm on here. Yeah, that's about the only setup I'm looking at in the euro. If we can get back above 113.58, I think there'd be some pullbacks you could look to potentially buy. But right now, this euro was super weak on Friday, and I would expect a continuation of that weakness. I think the euro could trade back down to the lows here. The daily chart is trending lower. Just look at this. We're just weaker, weaker, weaker. This was a nice bounce out of lows, but we could head all the way back to that 112.12 level and break right through it with no problem. So be very careful. What trades are you guys looking at this week? Is anybody like really, what's your most bullish market? What's your most bearish market that you're looking at? What market do you want to favor shorts in this week? That's what you got to be thinking about. You know, it's Sunday night. What markets do you believe this week will trend higher? What markets do you want to stay away from? What markets are going to trend lower in your opinion? Yes, I trade regular futures. I use it's called Tradeovate. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, I'll wrap this up, and I'll see you guys who are in our trade room tomorrow morning for the morning trade plan. But indexes continue to trend lower here, guys. Oil continues to trend lower, and the only thing of my 6 grid, ES, NASDAQ, Russell, Dow, oil is gold to the upside. Everything else has been trending lower. AUD USD, I do like in a short sequence. I would really like to see a retest of this 72.66. But AUD USD is definitely in a downtrend. I just wouldn't sell into these lows right here. Not my type of setup. Looking for ESA trade to 25.75. Yeah, my major support and downside targets here, 25.35 is really my major support in the ES. I do think that'll get hit, but you know, market doesn't always do what I think. But if it does get hit, that's really a crucial level of support for me, is 25.75. Very crucial level. You're welcome, John. All right, guys. Well, everyone have a good evening, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I'll start looking to do these more on Sunday night and get you guys caught up with my thoughts. But I really want to see how the market reacts tomorrow morning, because basically we've had Friday low volume, Thursday low volume, and you could even say Wednesday was low volume. But I was gone all of those days, and we've moved lower in 2 indexes and not in 2 others. But I would say gold